Suicide Squad, I really wanted to like you. Given the fact that this was a movie being made by David Ayer, and the fact that this movie was a blueprint that took place 2 years prior to this, I actually was kind of anticipating for this movie. But before I get to the review, I just want to display something right off the bat. It sucks. It's a tremendous, terrible misfire. If you're just asking how bad it is, let's just get to the plot already. So basically what's happening is that Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, she's creating this task force in case anything like an evil version of Superman comes down to the Earth to take over the whole planet. And then what goes on in this movie is that this evil witch chick called the Enchantress is trying to like destroy the Earth with her brother, the Incubus, who actually looked like CGI from Gods of Egypt. Yeah. And so it's up to the Suicide Squad to stop the Enchantress and to save the day. So in a world of good and bad, let's list the bad first. And speaking about bad, let's talk about the bad guys, which is the Suicide Squad. And in all honesty, I just didn't care for most of them. There were some few characters in there that I thought had potential, and there were like a few, like 1 or 2 characters that I liked in the movie. For example, Will Smith is Deadshot. The reason why he was like the best character to me in the movie is because the movie basically humanizes Deadshot. They gave him a personality, and also he has a heart in this movie simply because he has a daughter that he really misses really much. And perhaps here and there he delivers some chuckle-worthy dialogue. Not really chuckle-worthy, but smile-worthy, I guess. And then another character I thought was okay, or I kinda liked, was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I thought Margot Robbie's performance as Harley Quinn was okay. She did a decent job at nailing Harley Quinn's mannerisms whenever she's like crazy or something, or whenever she has voices in her head, but she was fine in the movie. Also, her Long Island accent keeps going on and off and on and off. And what's frustrating is that there was like this one character I really wanted to get invested in and had potential, but it just left him one-dimensional, and that's Diablo. Performance really good. His flashbacks and backstories are sad, but there's nothing else to his character. Basically, he's like a pacifist, and if he uses his powers anymore, he'll bring more and more danger to everyone else. However, most of the characters in this movie I just didn't care about, and were just completely underdeveloped in the movie. Why I say that is because the first movie feels like a sequel to another movie. Basically, it's just showing us these flashbacks and expositions about how these characters were, and so you're basically like, oh, that's kind of like footage from the first movie. But this is the first movie. And while some characters are introduced more and more, like Deadshot and Harley Quinn, there are some characters that get sidetracked completely. I mean, why should I care about Jai Courtney's character? Why? Because he robs banks, he uses a boomerang, and he has fetishes for pink unicorns? That's in the movie. I'm not kidding. Killer Croc had potential, Katana had potential. It's just that none of them are given enough backstory to ever make us care about any of these characters. Oh, and Slipknot's in the movie. How useful was that character? Well, at least they're not brain-dead wusses like Viola Davis's character. She's basically like one of the dumbest characters in this movie, and I'll tell you why. Basically, what Amanda Waller is doing is that she's trying to make a task force just to defeat a malevolent force that is just as powerful as Superman. Pause for a minute. And let me repeat. She is trying to make a task force to face someone that is just as powerful as Superman. I mean, how does that make any sense? Like, what is Harley Quinn gonna do against some evil force like Zod? What is Jai Courtney with like a few boomerangs gonna do? So that plan's stupid. Oh, but get ready for this. This is gonna take the cake. Viola Davis is like, hey, evil witch person, the Enchantress, you're gonna be in charge of the Suicide Squad because I think they can just do something for some reason. And then the Enchantress turns evil, and then scenes later, Viola Davis is like, we need to stop the Enchantress. I told you this would happen. Like, come on, woman. Like, this is all your fault. Basically, this whole movie is Amanda Waller's fault, and it just makes her look like a moron. Swell work, Amanda Waller. Swell work. Speaking of Enchantress, the Enchantress is a bad villain. There's no dimension to her, there's no backstory to her character, and she just ends up being a one-dimensional villain. But wait, I forgot one person left. That's right, it's Jared Leto's Joker. Jared Leto's Joker is perhaps the worst Joker I've seen in a long time. There's nothing to his character, he shares no chemistry to anyone else extreme except for Margot Robbie. He has one scene with her aside from the rest of the backstories that Harley Quinn has with the Joker, and then he's gone, impacting nothing in the movie. The script is shoddy, there's horrible editing. When a joke is about to come, it just edits quickly, and it just lets the joke die. Some of the effects are mediocre at best, except there's only like this one good visual effect with like the Enchantress's hand, and I kinda like that. Most of the CGI, holy crap! I mean, basically her brother, the Incubus, is basically like someone from Gods of Egypt. That's what the Incubus looks like. The action scenes feel like something from a different movie. Why? Because basically everything comes back to the Enchantress. What the Enchantress does is that she kind of like I don't know, kisses them to make them look like the bubble-headed zombies? I have no freaking idea. Then in like one of the action scenes where all the Suicide Squad is trying to fight these bubble-headed zombies, it feels like something out of a mundane zombie movie. And the reason why it sucks is because, well, we can't kill people because if we do, we get an R. So let's make it PG-13 just for the kids. Because at the end, you're supposed to like them anyway. And basically, I haven't got to this part. The last act in this movie, except for one scene, made this film so much worse. In like the third act, there's like this one scene where all the Suicide Squad are hanging out at a bar. That is like the best scene in the movie where characters are having their downtime. And then during that scene, I can be like, oh, I see something there. After that scene, you see a climax that is basically the combination between Fant 46 and the original Ghostbusters. And the last act is horrible. Basically, the Enchantress is spouting dialogue, and while she's doing that, she's like too busy popping and locking and like doing all these moves and stuff. That really happens in the movie. Characters turn into creatures that come out of nowhere. Characters do things that make no sense whatsoever. Basically, what the producers were like, we're just gonna play it as it is and hope it works out. That's not a joke. I think that's actually what happened. So in the end, Suicide Squad is a colossal mess. There were a few characters that had potential and some that I enjoyed, and like one good scene with good character development, but there were some characters that were underdeveloped and I just did not care about. A shoddy script, bad editing, bad CGI, with action scenes that feel like they're from a different zombie flick, and the last act just screws this movie and just makes it even worse. Originally, I was gonna give this like a 2.5 out of 5, but because of the last act of the movie, it gets a 1 out of 5. I'm like, DC, are you kidding me with this? DC, you have 5 years to make one good movie. Just copy what Marvel did. It's not that hard. I could just care less about the upcoming Wonder Woman. I definitely didn't care about the Justice League movie. Well, because Batman v Superman was the reason why. Batman v Superman was kind of like the disease of DC, but this one is still crap. Alright guys, that is my review on Suicide Squad. Comment below, let me know what you thought about the movie. Find me on Facebook, Google+, or probably message me on YouTube if you feel like it. My name is Luke Nukem, and DC, get yourself together.